Closer. Yeah, you. Stand still in the half-light. Let the smoke hang. Let the silence breathe. Feel that slow zoom tightening around your pulse, around your breath, around the quiet tension in your chest. You're not here by accident. You're here because something shifted when you stopped performing for the crowd and started listening to the quiet machine inside your own skull. Not noise, not drama, precision, not chaos, calculation, not rage, direction. They don't see it yet. That's the beautiful part. They only feel the absence, the missing weight, the strange calm after a structure collapses quietly in the dark. You didn't announce yourself. You didn't posture. You didn't need a spotlight. You moved like a shadow that learned how to sharpen itself. And the world only notices shadows when the light starts breaking differently. You can feel it in the room when you walk in. Conversations pause half a beat too long. Eyes track you without realizing why. Energy rearranges itself around your presence like furniture sliding in a locked house. That's not intimidation. That's alignment. This is what happens when discipline becomes instinct, when patience becomes posture, when focus becomes identity. You stopped broadcasting your moves. You stopped feeding noise with noise. You stopped leaking intention into mouths that never deserved the blueprint. You built quiet leverage instead of loud approval, and leverage compounds. Here's the early truth most people never learn. Darkness isn't evil, it's selective. Darkness hides waste. Darkness preserves energy. Darkness sharpens contrast. Strategic darkness is not hiding, it's positioning. While they were flexing for attention, you were stacking angles. While they were chasing validation, you were installing control systems in your habits, your time, your nervous system. While they were loud, you were exact. That's why the gap feels unreal to them. They thought growth was noise. You understood growth is compression. Tension builds quietly before it releases violently into results. Like a coiled spring in a velvet glove. Like a blade kept clean, not flashy. Like breath held before precision lands. Silence is a weapon, calm is armor. The beast steps back before precision. You didn't erase a presence with chaos. You erased a pattern with consistency. You erased predictability with restraint. You erased their shadow crew by refusing to play their emotional economy. They tried to read you using old maps, old psychology, old tricks, old hierarchy games. But you rewrote the terrain. You stopped reacting. You stopped explaining. You stopped leaking emotional tells. You turned your nervous system into a fortress of measured responses. That's when the sleep disappears from their eyes. Not because you attacked, because you stopped being readable. Unpredictability terrifies systems built on control. Here's the first shift. Power doesn't announce itself. Power stabilizes the room. Power bends probability quietly. Power moves people without touching them. You became a walking question mark wrapped in certainty. You didn't need approval. You didn't need applause. You didn't need permission. You needed alignment, and you built it. Tension, release. Tension, a rhythm your nervous system learned to surf instead of fear. Now the tempo rises, the edges sharpen, the game board tightens. You start seeing patterns where others see drama. You hear subtext where others hear noise. You feel leverage where others feel anxiety. That's strategic dark, not destructive, not reckless, not empty, surgical. Every move you don't make is pressure. Every word you don't say is gravity. Every reaction you withhold forces the environment to reveal itself. They talk, you observe, they panic, you measure, they chase, you position. That's why their systems fracture under your stillness. They're addicted to stimulation. You're addicted to clarity. Silence is a weapon. Calm is armor. The beast steps back before precision. Here comes the psychological pivot. The moment the old identity burns off without smoke, you stop seeing opposition as enemies. You start seeing them as predictable feedback loops. You stop fighting personalities. You start exploiting patterns. You stop asking how to dominate. You ask how to become inevitable. That's when dominance stops being loud. It becomes environmental, atmospheric, unavoidable. You walk into rooms carrying invisible gravity, not ego, not aggression, certainty. Certainty changes how people breathe around you. Certainty rewires how they negotiate with themselves before they even speak. Certainty makes unstable systems glitch. And yeah, somewhere deep in the night, someone's staring at the ceiling, replaying your silence like a riddle they can't crack. Their mind racing, their instincts misfiring, their old control tools failing, because you're not responding the way the script demands. You're not loud. You're lethal in stillness. Here's the rule, etched into the architecture of power. If you can regulate your nervous system under pressure, you control the field. Not with force, with composure. Here's the mindset shift. The internal upgrade most people never install. Stop trying to win reactions. Start building inevitability. Here's the principle. The engine behind real dominance. Predictability belongs to amateurs. Precision belongs to predators. Silence is a weapon. Calm is armor. The beast steps back before precision. You start playing longer games. You stop chasing fast dopamine wins. You build delayed leverage, compounding discipline, quiet reputation, invisible alliances between your habits, your standards, your time. You're not sprinting anymore. You're engineering outcomes, and when pressure hits, you don't spike emotionally. You sharpen cognitively. Your pulse slows instead of accelerates. Your perception widens instead of collapsing. You see exits, angles, leverage, timing. That's the real flex. That's the real menace. They expected noise. They got absence. They expected reaction. They got stillness. They expected chaos. They got strategy. That mismatch fries weak systems. You're no longer feeding the circus. You're building the architecture behind the tent. And yeah, somewhere the whispers start mutating into obsession. They can't read your next move. They can't bait your emotions. They can't destabilize your center. They start projecting, inventing narratives, shadowboxing ghosts you never sent. Because the moment you stop being predictable, you become uncontrollable. That's when the energy shifts from competition to containment. They don't want to beat you. They want to understand you. They want to decode you. They want to neutralize the unknown. But the unknown feeds on structure. And you've already upgraded your internal operating system. Silence is a weapon. Calm is armor. The beast steps back before precision. You move slower, but everything bends faster. You speak less, but impact multiplies. You reveal nothing, but presence amplifies. That's lone wolf energy refined into strategic dominance, not isolation, autonomy, not arrogance, self-trust, not darkness for drama, darkness for clarity. And somewhere between discipline and patience, the old version of you quietly dissolves without ceremony. No announcement, no applause, just upgraded circuitry and sharper instincts. They're still running old software, still addicted to noise, still leaking leverage, still chasing approval like oxygen. You're building gravity. That's why they can't fucking sleep. Not fear, uncertainty, not hatred, loss of control, not envy, destabilization. Because when someone masters stillness, timing, emotional sovereignty, and silent leverage, The entire chessboard starts drifting under their feet, the pieces hesitating, the lights flickering, the smoke curling tighter around the edges of perception, the slow zoom tightening on the eyes that finally realize the game has already tilted, the silence stretching thicker, heavier, sharper, the pressure humming like a restrained engine waiting for the next precise movement inside the darkened architecture of inevitability. The air tightens when certainty walks through it. Not because people feel threatened, because their internal compass starts spinning without north. They sense something disciplined, contained, controlled, moving through the environment like a silent algorithm rewriting probability. You don't rush anymore. You don't chase signals. You don't react to bait. Your nervous system doesn't flinch when pressure enters the room. It observes, it calibrates, it selects. That's the real upgrade. When emotion becomes information instead of fuel, when adrenaline becomes clarity instead of chaos, when instinct stops being wild and starts being trained, silence is a weapon. Calm is armor. The beast steps back before precision. You start noticing how fragile most systems really are. Egos built on applause, authority built on noise, confidence built on borrowed validation, all loud, all brittle, all desperate for attention to survive. You move differently, your power doesn't spike, it stabilizes, your presence doesn't dominate, it reorganizes, your energy doesn't push, it pulls alignment into orbit. Rooms adjust around you without permission. Conversations soften, postures shift. Micro-expressions leak truth before mouths catch up. You see the tells, the delays, the nervous over-explanations, the false certainty leaking through the cracks. That's strategic dark, not hiding from the light, but controlling where the light lands. Tension rises again, not loud, not dramatic, like pressure building behind glass. You begin operating 3 layers ahead, not predicting people, predicting patterns, not reacting to events, shaping conditions, not fighting opposition, starving it of relevance. That's when the invisible wins start stacking. Momentum nobody claps for, leverage nobody understands, outcomes that look like luck to untrained eyes. But luck doesn't regulate heart rate under chaos. Luck doesn't delay gratification for months without leaking discipline. Luck doesn't stay silent when ego begs for recognition. That's architecture, that's engineering, that's quiet domination. Silence is a weapon, calm is armor. The beast steps back before precision. You don't need to flex. Your nervous system already broadcasts authority at a cellular level. Your breathing slows the room. Your eye contact reorganizes confidence. Your pauses bend attention. Pauses scare people more than words, because pauses create mirrors, and most people don't like what stares back. You've trained yourself to sit inside discomfort without leaking identity. No fidgeting, no defensive humor, no emotional overflow, just controlled stillness holding the frame. Frames dominate conversations. Frames dominate negotiations. Frames dominate influence. Whoever holds the frame controls the narrative gravity. You stopped chasing narratives. You became one. Another tension wave builds, sharper, denser, heavier in the chest. Here's where transformation locks in permanently. The moment unpredictability becomes your default posture instead of a tactic. You're no longer reacting from habits built in old environments. You're responding from intentional architecture. Every move chosen, every silence deliberate. Every reaction filtered through strategy instead of impulse. That's when people start miscalculating you. They project old versions onto a system that's already upgraded. They try pressure where pressure no longer triggers. They try noise where noise no longer penetrates. They start losing sleep, not because you attack, because you don't conform to expected feedback loops. Their scripts fail, their manipulation models glitch, their emotional hooks bounce off armor they can't penetrate. Calm is armor, and armor doesn't announce itself, it absorbs. Silence is a weapon, and weapons don't beg for attention, they wait. The beast steps back before precision. That step back isn't weakness, it's data collection, it's angle refinement, it's timing optimization. Predators don't rush chaos, they shape inevitability. You start sensing when the environment tilts in your favor long before results show up externally. Subtle shifts, tiny leverage windows, micro-timing advantages invisible to impatient minds. That's when you stop explaining yourself completely. Explanation leaks leverage, mystery compounds power. You don't need to be understood, you need to be effective. Effectiveness compounds quietly, like pressure under the ocean, like tectonic plates drifting toward rearrangement. Another pattern interrupt hits, sudden stillness inside motion. Your mind goes quiet while everything else accelerates. Your perception sharpens like glass. Your reactions compress into efficiency. Flow state weaponized. This isn't hustle culture nonsense. This is nervous system mastery. This is emotional sovereignty. This is cognitive dominance. You're not fighting the world. You're synchronizing with reality faster than others can process. That's why uncertainty blooms in their chest when they think about you. They can't predict cadence. They can't read intent. They can't model outcome trajectories. Uncertainty destabilizes control systems, and destabilized systems leak fear disguised as curiosity. Silence is a weapon. Calm is armor. The beast steps back before precision. You don't rush victories. You harvest momentum. You let probability bend until outcomes arrive already softened. Your confidence doesn't spike on wins or collapse on friction. It stays centered, anchored, unmoved. That neutrality becomes intimidating to emotionally volatile systems because they can't hook you, can't provoke you, can't bait you into predictable reactions. You're not cold, you're calibrated. You don't suppress emotion, you regulate it. That's elite, that's rare, that's dangerous in the quietest way. Somewhere the night keeps stretching. Ceilings get stared through, thought loops spin, control fantasies collapse into unanswered questions. Not because of anything you said, because of everything you didn't. Because of the silence that follows you, like a controlled storm front. Because of the stillness that bends rooms into alignment. Because of the unpredictability that rewrites dominance maps inside other minds. Your presence becomes a psychological environment. That's lone wolf energy refined into architecture. Not chaos, not rage, not noise, precision. Pressure builds again, thicker than before. The kind that vibrates under the skin instead of on the surface. Your identity is no longer negotiable. Your standards are internalized. Your discipline automatic. Your composure reflexive. You don't need motivation. You operate from alignment. That's why effort feels lighter, while impact grows heavier. You move like inevitability, wrapped in restraint. Like a loaded spring under velvet control. Like a chessboard already tilted toward outcomes nobody else sees yet. Silence is a weapon. Calm is armor. The beast steps back before precision, and somewhere between the smoke curling tighter around the edges of perception, the half-light sharpening contours, the slow zoom tightening on pupils that finally recognize instability, the internal compasses spinning without north, the nervous systems failing to locate predictability, the pressure humming like a restrained engine inside a locked chamber of anticipation. The architecture of dominance continues assembling itself quietly, layer by layer, breath by breath, moment by measured moment. The gravity deepening, the shadows aligning, the pattern locking into inevitability, the environment reshaping around controlled stillness, the silence thickening into authority, the tension stretching into sharpened awareness, the unseen leverage multiplying beneath the surface of perception, the quiet machine inside your skull, refining timing, angle, restraint, the discipline becoming instinct, the instinct becoming identity, the identity becoming environment, the environment becoming outcome, the outcome bending probability further into alignment with precision, control, sovereignty, momentum, gravity, inevitability, dominance, restraint, clarity, architecture, stillness, pressure, rhythm, leverage, silence, calm. The beast stepping back inside the half-light as smoke curls tighter, and the slow zoom never releases its grip on the edge of awareness. The mind adapts faster than the world notices. That's the advantage. While environments lag, you evolve in real time. Your thoughts don't scatter anymore. They line up, they sequence, they execute with restraint. Impulse used to run the show. Emotion used to hijack timing. Ego used to leak leverage. Not anymore. You've trained yourself to delay reaction until clarity arrives. You've trained yourself to breathe inside pressure instead of fleeing it. You've trained yourself to watch patterns instead of personalities. That's why outcomes bend toward you quietly. Silence is a weapon. Calm is armor. The beast steps back before precision. People mistake composure for softness until they collide with its weight. They assume restraint means hesitation until timing snaps shut around them, like a controlled trapdoor of inevitability. You don't force doors. You let momentum unlock them. That's power without friction. That's dominance without noise. That's authority without performance. Your nervous system doesn't spike when unpredictability hits. It stabilizes. It widens perception. It sharpens decision bandwidth. You see 3 moves ahead while others argue about the present. You hear emotional leakage inside confident voices. You detect leverage in spaces most minds overlook. That's pattern literacy. That's cognitive edge. That's quiet supremacy. Another internal calibration locks in. The moment you stop seeking certainty and start engineering adaptability. Certainty locks people into rigid reactions. Adaptability keeps you fluid, responsive, lethal in timing. You don't need guarantees. You need positioning. Positioning multiplies probability. Silence is a weapon. Calm is armor. The beast steps back before precision. Your presence begins compressing time for others. They feel rushed even when nothing is moving. They feel exposed even when nothing is said. They feel evaluated even when you're simply observing. That's frame dominance. That's psychological gravity. You've become comfortable living inside unanswered questions. Most people need closure. You thrive in ambiguity. Ambiguity creates leverage, because whoever tolerates uncertainty longer controls the direction of resolution. You stopped needing validation to confirm identity. Your identity stabilizes itself internally. No applause required, no reassurance needed, no external mirrors necessary. Self-trust compounds into quiet certainty. Quiet certainty bends rooms. That's why reactions around you feel slightly off balance, why conversations subtly recalibrate, why dynamics shift without explanation. Your energy reorganizes the environment, not dominance through force, dominance through coherence. You're aligned internally, and misaligned systems can't tolerate proximity to coherence without destabilizing. That's why the nights stretch longer for unstable minds. Thought loops replay, Control fantasies glitch, prediction models fail, not because you're attacking, because you're uncontainable by outdated frameworks. Silence is a weapon, calm is armor. The beast steps back before precision. Your discipline no longer feels heavy, it feels automatic, integrated, embedded. Habits execute themselves, standards enforce themselves, boundaries hold without emotional labor. That frees bandwidth for higher-level cognition, longer arcs, deeper timing, sharper leverage. You're no longer managing chaos, you're designing outcomes. Every micro-decision aligns with long-term architecture. Every restraint preserves future advantage. Every pause amplifies downstream impact. That's delayed dominance. That's compounding authority. That's invisible momentum. You've trained your nervous system to love pressure instead of fear it. Pressure sharpens you. Pressure organizes you. Pressure clarifies intent. While others fracture under intensity, you consolidate. That's predator-level composure without theatrics. That's strategic dark refined into elegance. Silence is a weapon, calm is armor. The beast steps back before precision. Your unpredictability no longer comes from chaos. It comes from depth, from layered thinking, from non-linear timing, from refusing to broadcast internal process. You don't telegraph, you execute, you don't explain. You embody, you don't rush, you align. And alignment bends probability quietly. Somewhere the mental pressure keeps looping in unfamiliar circuits. Old strategies fail to map new behavior. Control mechanisms misfire. Confidence dissolves into cognitive noise, not because of confrontation, because of absence, because the silence carries weight. Because stillness carries intent. Because restraint carries inevitability. Your internal architecture keeps reinforcing itself. Breath by breath, decision by decision, moment by measured moment. The half-light sharpens contours. The smoke thickens around perception. The slow zoom tightens into focused awareness. Your presence stabilizes like a fixed point in a drifting system. Everything else adjusts. Gravity deepens. Leverage multiplies. Timing sharpens. The quiet machine inside your skull keeps refining angles, sequencing patience, compressing reaction latency, expanding perception bandwidth, integrating discipline into instinct, instinct into identity, identity into environment, environment into outcome, outcome into momentum, momentum into inevitability, inevitability into dominance without noise, dominance without ego, dominance without volatility, dominance wrapped in restraint, clarity, pressure, rhythm, leverage, architecture, composure, sovereignty, unpredictability, coherence, gravity, stillness, silence, calm. The beast stepping back inside the half-light as smoke curls tighter and the slow zoom locks into unwavering focus, the field bending subtly, the patterns aligning invisibly, the chessboard tilting under quiet control, the pressure humming like a restrained engine inside a sealed chamber of anticipation, the architecture of power continuing to assemble itself silently, precisely, relentlessly, without announcement, without leakage, without hesitation, without surrender to noise, without collapse into impulse, without deviation from alignment, without interruption of momentum, without dilution of intent, without fracture of composure, without erosion of discipline, without destabilization of center, without compromise of leverage, without exposure of blueprint, without loosening of frame, without softening of gravity, without interruption of inevitability. And in that space, in that stillness, you realize something most will never grasp. Dominance isn't loud. It doesn't scream. It doesn't beg for acknowledgement. It exists. It bends environments quietly, shapes outcomes invisibly, and demands attention without asking for it. Your presence isn't measured in reactions. It's measured in absence, in restraint, in the tension that stretches like smoke through every corner of perception. You've erased chaos with composure. You've rewritten patterns with patience. You've turned unpredictability into inevitability. Silence has become your weapon. Calm has become your armor. And the beast steps back only to strike with precision. You are no longer a player in their scripts. You are the architect behind the stage. The room bends before you, not because they fear noise, but because they cannot contain the gravity of someone who has mastered themselves. And that is untouchable.